This is CBC Here and Now.
It is more about the health impacts than it is about collecting the tax.
It is targeted at the people who perhaps can least afford it.
So everybody's drinking about an average of 200 mils a day.
A tax on sugary drinks coming next year.
Why some of the things you drink will cost 20 cents more a litre.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that beautiful sunshine today because rain is on the way for tomorrow.
I really do think that we are approaching the finish line. I really do.
Muskrat Falls is behind schedule again, and it's going to miss next month's deadline.
And that means it could be wintertime before the hydro project is finally complete.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes.
By next year, it's going to cost you more to buy sweetened beverages like soft drinks.
Yes, the provincial government released details of a sugary drinks tax it hopes to begin collecting next September. Now, this new measure is the first of its kind in Canada, and it will add 20 cents per litre to sugar-sweetened drinks. Here Now's Mark Quinn has the details.
Government officials estimate the new tax will raise about $9 million annually and cost about $300,000 to administer. But they say it's not about raising money. In fact, the finance minister says the province would be happy if it doesn't collect a nickel.
It is more about the health impacts than it is about collecting the tax. I mean, in all fairness, if we couldn't collect this tax because everyone was choosing a different low sugar content drink, that would be a good thing. So it's less about the tax and very much about the improved health outcomes.
The tax will apply to soft drinks, sports drinks, and fruit-flavored drinks. The tax will not apply to diet drinks, 100% natural fruit juices, alcohol drinks, or white or chocolate milk. The new tax must still be debated and go to a vote in the House of Assembly. The Progressive Conservative Party says it won't support it.
This is nothing more than another regressive tax on the people of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. It is targeted at the people who perhaps can least afford it, the lower income people of our province. And it does nothing to actually improve health outcomes.
The government said last spring the tax would come into effect in April of 2022. It now says implementation has been delayed to September of 2022 to give retailers and wholesalers time to prepare for this change. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a professor of nutrition believes fruit juices should have been included in that sugar tax. She also hopes that any revenue generated will be reinvested into social programs, healthy food subsidies, or into funding for better access to safe drinking water. Still, Rachel Prowse believes the new tax is a step in the right direction.
Sugar-containing beverages are the ones that are most harmful for our health. So sugar causes dental caries, it causes increased risk of excess weight and diabetes and other heart outcomes. And so it definitely is an effective policy that's going to reduce the intake of sugar-containing beverages and move it to whatever the preference of the consumer is, whether that's artificially sweetened beverages or water.
We're going to have more of my conversation with Rachel Prowse ahead in about 20 minutes on Here and Now. But staying now with politics, there's going to be a workplace review of the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. The Justice Minister says the review isn't an investigation. Rather, it'll examine workplace culture and governance within the RNC.
The officers can speak candidly, for better or for worse, to this person, and this person can then take the report, present it to me at a future date when it's ready, and we can learn from that, and the RNC can grow, and most importantly, hopefully, will give the public some confidence in the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, which is of the utmost importance to me, to government, and to the members of the RNC.
Now, the RNC review is going to take 6 months. Uniformed officers and civilian employees of all ranks and positions will be asked to participate. Now, John Hogan says the decision came in part after several women came forward this summer and accused several officers of assault while on duty.
Public trust in our policing in this province, in any jurisdiction, is of the utmost importance. If people don't have faith in our police here, it's a problem. So we want to make sure that we get to the bottom of it to discover if there are issues that need to be addressed, and if there are, they'll be addressed by the department and by the chief and by the RNCA as well. Everyone is on board to make sure that this review is done properly and as thoroughly as possible to discuss issues. Issues around conflict management within the workplace, communications, and police wellness as well. These are all things that need to be discussed to make sure that the officers as well have everything that they need to do their job to serve the public.
Harriet Lewis, an Ontario lawyer with experience in mediation and governance, is going to conduct the workplace review.
Well, it's been a rainy 36 hours for most of the province, or most of the western portion of the province. Anyway, Burgeo saw 78.8 millimeters of rain, and then we saw a number of areas seeing those anywhere from 40 to 60 millimeters through the southern areas of the island, as well as even Green Bay, White Bay, seeing some of those 30 to 40 millimeter marks. Now, most of that rain has ended and saw lots of sunshine for parts of the province. Finally, for eastern areas of the island as well. We did see some fog develop a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, that streak is over though, but allowing those temperatures to climb beautifully this afternoon in that sunshine. 14 degrees in St. John's, 13 in Gander. It's been a while since the northeast coast has seen those double digits, so certainly beautiful temperatures. And then up across Labrador, still in those single digits. The risk of some flurries as well for Lab West. I'll get into all the details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the person now in charge of the Muskrat Falls project believes it will be finished soon. Jennifer Williams says power customers won't have to worry about reliability this winter. This despite the project's deadline being pushed ahead yet again and software troubles driving up the cost. Here now's Terry Roberts reports.
I really do think that we are approaching the finish line. I really do.
She's the third top executive to oversee the Muskrat Falls project since it was sanctioned 9 years ago.
We're going to bring the software and put the software back on.
Right.
Yeah.
And like her predecessors, she's dealing with more problems with a project that is already 4 years behind schedule, more than $6 billion over budget, and was labeled by a public inquiry as a misguided project.
It is not software that you can just buy off the shelf.
This problem is very technical, and it involves designing a complex software that tells computers how to work. In this case, it's the control and protection software for the Labrador Island Link. This 1,100 kilometer DC transmission line will bring power from Labrador to Newfoundland. But the company contracted to design the computer software, GE, is struggling. Glitches and bugs keep delaying the process.
We're working with GE to make sure that we work through the bugs now before it goes into final service, as opposed to after it's in final service and then Holyrood has moved on to a different stage of its life.
The overall completion target for the project was November 26th, but Williams now believes it will be early next year before Muskrat is fully commissioned.
It's important to us to get this done right at this time.
She is confident that some Muskrat power will be available this winter. But even if it's not, she says the existing power grid is upgraded and ready to meet the demand.
We didn't have the LIL last year, and we had no issues with getting through the winter. We've invested in our assets, including Holyrood, to make sure that we have the power available to serve customers. So I'm not worried from a reliability perspective for this winter.
Meanwhile, she acknowledged that all the delays will likely mean the $13.1 billion price tag will grow.
There'll be an impact. We're working through what that impact is. I don't expect it to be material.
As for efforts to commission the power station at Muskrat Falls, Williams says the schedule is unchanged and that all 4 generating units will be finished this fall. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Alison Coffin has stepped down as the leader of the provincial NDP. It comes after the party voted this weekend to hold a leadership review. 57% of delegates voted in favor of the review, which would have triggered a leadership race if multiple people put their name forward. Coffin lost her seat in last winter's provincial election. Today, she announced she's resigning as party leader.
After reflecting over the last couple of days, to ensure that our incoming executive can focus on the task that they have before them, which is building a fair future for everyone, I have made the decision to step down as leader of the Newfoundland and Labrador New Democratic Party. I would like to say to the youth of our province that there is hope for our future. for our province, for the place that we love so much, we can build a better future.
Now, the party says it has accepted Coffin's resignation and thanked her for her service. Coffin didn't take any questions from the media at the announcement, but the party says that was a decision by the party executive. NDP MHA Jim Dinn will become the interim leader until a new one is chosen, which could be up to a year from now.
The executive is going to have a meeting and we're going to decide what the leadership process looks like. I mean, my recommendation, I don't mind telling you, is that we wait some time, months for sure, maybe even a year, before we open a leadership nomination contest. We'll allow Jim Dinn, under his guidance and interim leadership, to lead the party while we focus on building the party. I mean, that's what the membership have asked us to do.
Now, the provincial government says it heard from 225 people about its plan to change the coat of arms. The government wants to add Labrador to the 400-year-old coat of arms and remove the racist word savages from its official description. Officials say over 80% of respondents to the call for public input say they agree with the move. Some suggest the coat of arms should recognize the Innu, Inuit, and Mi'kmaq, as well as the Beothuk.
Well, a St. John's startup says it expects to double in size thanks to a $21 million investment. CoLab is a company that specializes in improving the workflow of mechanical engineering firms, and it has already caught the attention of some high-profile Fortune 500 companies. Today, during TechNL's Innovation Week, CoLab announced its plan to expand.
Today, we're super excited to announce our $17 million US Series A, led by Insight Partners. So for those who don't know, Insight is like a $16 or $18 billion fund out of the US.
Our kind of biggest expense is our team. And with this money, it allows us to actually go and grow that team a huge amount. For me, it's always been, a dream to build a company in Newfoundland and Labrador, and especially a tech company. And so now we're going to take that money, we're going to go grow from probably about 50 people now to 125 plus, maybe even as big as 150 people right here in the province. So it's pretty exciting and pretty big news for the province, I think, as well.
So up until now, we've been really quiet about the product side. We've talked a lot about the company.
One of the things we were really thoughtful of early on was, how do we build a culture that people, not just in Newfoundland, want to be part of. And our team today, there's 54 people, about 10 are sprinkled through the rest of Canada. I think for us to do this as a province, there's a lot to it. It's not just as simple as post some roles and hope people apply, because you're right, there isn't enough people that are just actively looking because they're highly in demand. I think it's great that there's like a stretch on the companies, because we'll do things to make it work. We'll figure it out, we'll train people, we'll take people from other industries and help them transition. And then you inspire the next generation so that 5 years from now when you ask me this question, there's so many people that we have a different problem.
This is fantastic news for the province and for our tech companies. One of the things we're trying to dispel is the myth that we can't do it here. And this just showcases to those in the province that want to think about creating a tech company, that want to think about doing a big raise like this, that it can happen here and we can compete globally with anybody around the world.
Well, seniors in the Bay St. George area have a new way to get around. There is a new 12-seat bus on the roads.
Yeah, but the not-for-profit service is only available once a week and needs more volunteers. Here Now's Colleen Connors took a ride to bring us this report.
Hi, CBC.
Gloria Downey has been waiting for this bus for a while. She lives at Silverwood Manor, where the Bay St. George Extended Seniors Transportation Service, or BEST, bus is picking her up for the first time.
It feels wonderful to have this bus here and be able to, and the windows are so high, you can look out and see everything.
Before, if Downey wanted to get to an appointment or see a play, she would have to call the one wheelchair-accessible taxi in town, a $40 round trip. Now, it will cost her $4. She calls the new bus service life-changing.
It'll improve my life in that I'll be able to go more places, more shows, more restaurants, more talks, more movies, more everything.
The town of Stephenville got the bus from the provincial government last year, but COVID-19 delayed things. It had an official launch at this public announcement in downtown Stephenville last week. The bus service, mimicked off a similar one in Clarenville, will operate daily to take seniors to the doctor, grocery store, or anywhere else they need to go.
It's so important is because it puts money in the hands of the senior where they need it most. I've heard stories of people that were going to the grocery store and buying minimum amount of food. Now they'll be able to spend the transportation money on food or on entertainment and just give them more independence, because seniors on fixed incomes, I don't know how they manage to survive.
There's one problem. McCann says they desperately need locals to come forward and drive the bus and assist the riders, offering to cover the cost of any license upgrades or background checks. McCann says the drivers get a lot out of it and encourage more people to come forward and help.
Seeing the smiles on these people is unbelievable. I mean, the humor, the lessons that they have to teach us, I mean, it's just, it charges my heart and is what makes this worthwhile, because it's not easy. What we're doing as a committee, as a board, is not easy. It's a struggle, and we're fighting hard to bring this about in a time when volunteers are so rare.
The committee's hope is that they'll get enough volunteer drivers so they can operate the bus every weekday, especially leading into the cold winter months. But for now, if a senior wants a ride, they just call and book it for just $2. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Stephenville.
right, time for a look at the weather forecast, and it was a beautiful day in St. John's. My goodness, the sunshine, it was warm, light winds.
Recharged the battery.
Yes, it absolutely felt that way.
It definitely did. Just even for a couple of minutes sitting in that sunshine definitely felt much nicer than the cloudy skies and cool temperatures that most of the Northeast has been seeing for a week.
Yes.
But yeah. Beautiful. Let's take a look at those temperatures right now because it is still an absolutely gorgeous evening out there. 13 degrees in St. John's. Same thing for Bonavista, Badger as well. Otherwise, temperatures along southern areas of the Avalon seeing a little bit cooler. 9 degrees in Cape Race right now. Also some fog showing up on some of the webcams down there. And then as far as Labrador goes, your current temperature is sitting anywhere from 2 to 5 degrees. That is around where you should be sitting this time of year. Now what's going on is we've got that area of low pressure pretty much exactly where it was yesterday. We do have a front associated with that one. It's an occluded front. That just means that there's really no temperature change between them. And what we're going to see as we head through the evening hours tonight is an area of low pressure that's developing. That's where some of that cloud cover is coming from the southern areas of the island. And that will generally continue as we head through the evening hours tonight. But you can see that counterclockwise rotation with all of that onshore flow up through portions of Labrador as well. So we will see some areas of fog as we head through the evening hours tonight, along with the potential for some rain. So that area of low pressure will develop, and eventually we're going to see that cloud cover move in through the overnight, and then eventually some rain as we get into the early morning hours. Chance of a few showers though for the northern peninsula. Same thing all along coastal Labrador, and in some of those higher elevations through central Labrador, we could see some flurries in the mix there, as well as some flurries tonight for Lab West as we get into the early morning hours as well. There's that rain that will move in by the time we get into, say, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning down through southern areas of the island. Now temperatures tonight, going to dip into the single digits. Winds are going to stay light for the most part. We'll see some heavier winds, though, or stronger winds rather, for coastal areas of Labrador. They'll be out of the east in that onshore flow, about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. And again, keeping that chance of showers in for most. The higher elevations may see those flurries, and Lab City going down to 0 degrees tonight. So what does fall should fall as some flurries. Now through the day tomorrow, we're going to see those periods of rain for most of the southern areas of the island. Eventually, as we get into mid-morning, we'll start to see that rain head north across the Avalon and eastern areas of the island as well, with some shower activity or drizzle in that onshore flow along the northeast. Same thing for coastal Labrador. As we get into the afternoon, then some of the heavier rain will move in behind that tomorrow evening rather, along the northeast, and eventually ending for southern areas of the island as well. Maybe even on the west coast, we could see some sunshine in the mix as well. So as far as the rainfall amounts go, not too much tonight, just trace to 5 millimeters for most of Labrador. But as we head through the day tomorrow, when we get into some of that heavier rain, some pockets of 10 to 20 millimeters is certainly possible. Flirting with that for eastern areas of the island. We may see 15 to 20, maybe 20 plus millimeters, certainly possible as we get into Thursday morning. So as far as those winds go, tomorrow will be beautiful for the most part. We'll see the winds pick up into the evening hours tomorrow night, about 50, 60 kilometer per hour gusts, and then they'll even strengthen even more as we get into Thursday. We're looking at those gusts closer to 50, 60, even 70 kilometers per hour in some of those exposed areas. So temperatures tomorrow going back down to those single digits. Notice that wind shift northeasterlies to northwesterlies through the day. Similar forecast through central Newfoundland, 8 to 10 degrees, and then along the south coast about 11 degrees. The sun likely peaking out at times for western areas in the southwest. Temperatures in the teens through the day, and then for the northern peninsula hanging on to those single digit temperatures, 7, 8 degrees. Same thing for southeastern Labrador. Those winds now out of the east about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then single-digit temperatures across most of Labrador. Looks like the best chance of seeing some flurries in the mix will be for Lab West, about 4 degrees for you in Lab City. Churchill Falls looking at about 5 degrees. But eventually, as the afternoon rolls around, that should change over to showers. So let's look at tomorrow's forecast. We'll look ahead when I come back.
Well, Ashley, we were talking about how beautiful today was, so we just had to squeeze this in. Just check out St. John's Harbor right now. This is a live shot of the harbor with an almost full moon there as we say goodbye to the glorious day that we had today in St. John's.
Starting next year, sugary drinks in Newfoundland and Labrador are going to get more expensive. But will the policy actually shift people's behavior? And what's the impact going to be on some of the products that you might normally drink? Well, Rachel Prowse is a professor at Memorial University. She teaches nutrition. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks, Peter.
We saw some criticism today about the fact that this tax is regressive. What does the research actually show us on the impact of a sugar drink tax when it comes to different income levels?
That's such a great question, and I'm glad you asked for a couple of reasons. One, we're trying to understand the impact of this tax in Newfoundland when it's implemented as a research group with Dr. Scott Harding. And so we're trying to understand exactly what's happening in Newfoundland. But in terms of what we've seen across Canada and across other nations for the evidence, in Canada there's no difference in sugary drink intake across income groups. So everybody's drinking about an average of 200 mils a day, which implies that when you apply the tax, everybody's going to be contributing the same amount of money towards that tax. Now, when you look at total income, their contribution might be higher of their total income towards the tax if you're in a lower income category, but that also means that you're more incentivized to change your behavior and choose a lower amount of beverage that you might be consuming. So you might change from 200 mil to 100 mil and then contribute, half of that amount of tax that you were before. As a whole, if you look at the policy as a whole social approach to promoting healthy eating and chronic disease prevention, reinvesting the tax for social programs or subsidies of healthy food or creating healthy and safe water access in communities also helps reduce any kind of concerns that the tax is regressive.
So I want to ask about the impact of this tax. So if you look at these two Cokes, right now they're both on sale for about $1.50 each. Once this tax comes into place, this is going to be almost $2. A lot of people are saying, they're clearly trying to push people towards the diet product. Is the diet product any better for you than the full sugar option?
I don't think the policy is trying to push people towards the diet product per se. They're trying to encourage people to consume beverages that don't have sugar in them, and that includes things like just plain water out of your tap. So you may at the grocery store want to consider a beverage that is not taxed, that might be your artificially sweetened beverage. But the evidence that we know suggests that the sugar-containing beverages are the ones that are most harmful for our health. So sugar causes dental caries, it causes increased risk of excess weight and diabetes and other heart outcomes. And so it definitely is an effective policy that's going to reduce the intake of sugar-containing beverages and move it to whatever the preference of the consumer is, whether that's artificially sweetened beverages or water.
Let's talk about some of the things that aren't going to be taxed. So we've got, for example, here, chocolate milk is something that isn't going to be taxed, yet still a fair amount of sugar. There's almost 30 grams of sugar for every cup of chocolate milk you have. What do you make of that not being included?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because the impact of that tax on health behavior, your choice of what you're going to consume, depends on the types of beverages that they actually include in the tax. And so when you're excluding things like juice, 100% fruit and vegetable juice, or sweetened milk like chocolate milk, you're still having options that are sugary that are not taxed.
So do you think that fruit juices should have been taxed?
I do think that fruit juices should have been taxed. The wealth of evidence suggests that free sugars, which are sugars not just added, but sugars that are contained in things like fruit juices, have the same impact on health as your added sugar. So the World Health Organization and other health agencies would recommend that they would be included for the greatest economic benefit of a tax and also the greatest health benefit.
Well, thank you very much for joining me and sharing some of your insights on this.
Thank you.
I didn't realize it's the first one, and I get to be the face of trans politics in Newfoundland. I'm very honored to head that.
Last year, she became the first openly transgender counselor in the province, a first that flew under the radar. She's also a volunteer firefighter and a father. Coming up, we'll find out more about Charlotte Gauthier in Gillums. Well, last week we marked the election of the first openly transgender councillor to St. John City Council, but Ophelia Ravencroft is not the first transgender councillor in the province. On the island's west coast, the town of Gillams also elected a transgender woman to council in this election, but she's actually been sitting on that council since 2020 when she won the seat by acclamation in a by-election. Charlotte Gauthier joins me now. So first of all, congratulations on your win. It was a real stamp of approval for voters to choose for you to stay on the council representing them. How did it feel to win that confidence?
I felt really good. I didn't know I had that much respect in the community, and it felt good to know that.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, who are you outside of municipal politics?
Oh, I'm a father of a 13-year-old son. I work for Western Regional Service Board, and I'm a volunteer fighter part-time, and I'm a council member.
We heard from Ophelia Ravencroft a while back. She was talking about her difficulties during her campaign. She faced harassment and some threats leading up to Election Day. Can you describe what your experience was like running for municipal politics?
Well, personally, because I'm from a small community where pretty much most people know each other, it was a much different for me because I didn't get any of that negativity or anything. I got like one or two people, but nothing serious.
You know, there are precious few openly transgender councillors in the province. Do you feel like a trailblazer?
Well, I really didn't at first because I didn't realize the first person or anything like that until this all started coming out. Now I kind of feel, yes, I'm proud of this actually, very proud. I didn't realize it was the first one, and I get to be the, the face of trans politics in Newfoundland. I'm very honored to have that.
And I don't want to pry, so please only talk about, what you're comfortable talking about, but are you able to give us a bit of insight into what it was like for you as you were transitioning? Like, what kind of reaction did you get from the community, from your friends and your family?
Oh, that one's friends and family. Well, I gotta say, they're all very, very supportive. They're very disappointed when they first came in, obviously, because they lost somebody they love, someone close to them. But they accepted me fairly quickly because I have transgender relatives and friends and stuff like that. So transgender isn't anything new to my circle of people. It's just that they weren't expecting me to come out. I did lose some friends, and I lost my wife during the transition, but I also have gained many, many close friends, and I'm very glad for that. My wife's still my best friend. If it wasn't for her, I don't think my transition would have went as well, because she went out there and she supported me, and she made sure that everyone knew that, this was something that was very important, that, she wanted me to be happy, and she always knew there was something wrong, deep inside, and she just wanted me to be finally happy, and she's finally getting to see me be happy, which I'm very glad.
And I thank you so much for sharing that. I'm also wondering how your son reacted.
That I was really, very, really, very nervous about, because I didn't know how he would react, because he really loved his father a lot. And I thought that he would not accept it as well as he did. But I was bawling and crying when I was telling him, and he was just kind of looking at me like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. And then I was explaining to him what I was going to do. And he was 100% behind me. He said, I love you. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. And he has supported me ever since. And I can't tell you how grateful I am. He is my world.
He just wanted you to be happy.
That's all he wanted to do. And you can't ask for anything more from a child.
And I understand that he still calls you Dad.
Absolutely. I'd never ever change that to him. He sees me as that because he has a mother, and he sees me as his father his whole life. So I would never ever take that from him.
And now that you're back on council, do you have anything in particular that you would like to accomplish in the next 4 years? Do you have set goals in mind?
Not yet, because right now we just took over council. We just got sworn in. I'm actually deputy mayor now.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing some asset management stuff and some budgeting, and we're looking at the MCP. So we're not sure yet. So hopefully over the next, between 2 to 4 weeks, we'll have something down. It's just that we got to figure out with the budget how much money we got, and we got to figure out where we want to go with our asset management, because that's a new program we're starting this year, and we really want to start going towards that for the future of our community, kind of build on that.
Well, Deputy Mayor Charlotte Gauthier, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate being on there.
Welcome back to Here Now. As we mentioned earlier in the show, the provincial NDP is going to be looking for a new leader. Alison Coffin resigned as leader late this afternoon. This came after the party voted over the weekend to hold a leadership review. Here's a little more of Coffin making her announcement today.
After reflecting over the last couple of days, to ensure that our incoming executive can focus on the task that they have before them, which is building a fair future for everyone, I have made the decision to step down as leader of the Newfoundland and Labrador New Democratic Party. I would like to say to the youth of our province that there is hope for our future, for our province, for the place that we love so much. We can build a better future for generations and generations to come. But to do that, we need to make today affordable and healthy, and that is where our focus lies. New Democrats are the ones who will make this hope an absolute reality. We must be a united front against a common adversary. We must draw upon our deep roots and our very, very strong base. We must support and guide one another if we want to overcome inequality and build a fair future for everyone. I see a world full of hope and possibilities, but I know that we are going to have to fight for that. Because our vision for the future is not what the Liberals have in mind. Throughout my time as leader, I've heard the voices and stories of people from all across Newfoundland and Labrador saying, "We need your help. We're trying to provide for our families. We're trying to care for others. We're trying to make a living, and we need someone to listen." They know that New Democrats are there for them. To every one of these people, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your stories. They will always be with me. To the caucus, our staff, the NDP executive, our members of our party, our convention delegates, the people of St. John's East Kitty-Vitty, my family, and my partner Ian, thank you.
Bit of Alison Coffin's speech there. She didn't take any questions from the media, and with her gone, it's now going to be the NDP MHA Jim Dinn who's going to take over as interim leader until a new leader is chosen.
Well, turning to national news, the RCMP says it's working with Haitian and U.S. authorities following the abduction of 17 missionaries, including a Canadian, in Haiti. On Sunday, an Ohio-based missionary group said its missionaries, including 12 adults and 5 children, were kidnapped near Port-au-Prince. The children range in age from 8 months to 15 years old. Global Affairs Canada says officials are in touch with the family of the Canadian citizen and are providing consular assistance. This is the largest reported kidnapping of its kind in recent years in Haiti. Violence and abductions have reportedly become more brazen since the July 7th assassination of the island nation's president. Experts estimate that up to 40% of Haiti's capital is under gang control.
Pfizer has officially asked Health Canada to approve its COVID-19 vaccines for kids aged 5 to 11. It's the first vaccine submission the agency has received for younger children. One doctor offers this advice to parents.
Of course, we know that about half of parents are already gung-ho to get this. The polling shows that many people will go out and get this vaccine. Great. And for those who have questions or concerns, that's also okay. That is completely okay. That is completely normal. And really, think about this, look at the data, chat with your physicians and nurse practitioners, whoever's caring for you, and make a decision.
The vaccine dose for young kids is about 1/3 the size given to adults and older children. And according to Dr. Teresa Tam, the formulation has also changed. Health Canada says the green light will only be given if the benefits of the vaccine outweigh the potential risks.
Well, it's being called the dip in chips, a global shortage of semiconductors. Now, it means the production of everything from appliances to automobiles has been stalled, creating problems for manufacturers and consumers and putting Canadian jobs at risk. CBC's Jacqueline Hansen reports.
This spring, 1,800 workers at this Chrysler assembly plant will be laid off.
It's really disappointing.
It's going to hurt Windsor. It's going to hurt everybody.
They're the latest Canadians to feel the impact of the global shortage in semiconductor chips, used in everything from cruise control to power steering.
It is quite amazing when you think that just a component that, is a couple of dollars can really halt the full production of a product that is, tens of thousands of dollars.
It's estimated Canada will produce just 1.2 million vehicles this year. That's down from 1.4 last year and far below the pre-pandemic yearly average of 2.2 million. Without enough of the chips to go around, the industry is narrowing its focus to fewer vehicles.
When automakers are prioritizing where they're sending these final chips, it is going to these higher end vehicles outside of Canada.
Chip production has been slowed by COVID, a Texas winter storm, and a Japanese factory fire. Plus, demand has surged. The time it takes to deliver a chip order has hit a record high. It used to take 8 to 12 weeks. Now it's nearly 22. On car lots, that means fewer vehicles and higher prices.
It's very much a seller's market if you're looking to trade in a used vehicle, or if you have a vehicle that you're not using and you want to get some money for it. Now is the time, because dealers are paying a premium just to get any inventory on their lots.
Some analysts expect the supply and demand of chips to balance out by the middle of next year, at which point Ontario's premier is hopeful shifts will return to the Windsor assembly plant.
Folks, I can tell you we're going to ramp that back up.
And that a $1.5 billion commitment at the same plant to invest in future production of electric vehicles will be the light at the end of the tunnel. Something for workers to look forward to, rather than a pink slip.
Hopefully they stick to their commitment, you know.
Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back to Here and Now. It's one of Nova Scotia's star attractions, and yesterday, Peggy's Cove unveiled its new multi-million-dollar facelift.
Yes, as Colleen Jones reports, the rocky cliffside site is now more accessible and more safe.
As people wander onto the viewing platform that overlooks the legendary Peggy's Cove Lighthouse, the reviews on day one.
Beautiful overlook of the bay. It is spectacular.
This is the first time I've seen this in full glory, and this is beautiful.
Rocky Peggy's Cove. For anyone with mobility issues, this provides accessibility.
This allows me to get close to the water, to be able to go on the rocks. It's just awesome, and I also think it's really good for somebody in wheelchairs.
Does it make it easier for you to access this, do you find? It does.
Accessibility was a huge reason the platform was designed and built. Plus, in storms, this, rather than the rocks, will be a safer place to view those giant waves people like to watch. Still, there was pushback. When the drawings were first released, a Facebook group called Save the Natural Beauty of Peggy's Cove was born.
It was a terrifying project.
Award-winning architect Omar Gandhi's firm designed the project.
You know, I think flirting with something that meant so much to so many people. And in a way, I didn't ever blame people for feeling nervous about it.
Just to remind people what used to be here, an asphalt road for buses and cars. Now there's no vehicular traffic in the front. They had to extend into the giant granite rocks for part of the cantilever deck. But the viewing platform isn't the only new addition to Peggy's. They raised the road up 3 meters to prevent flooding that's happened in the past and expect it to continue with rising sea levels. They built boardwalks for safe walking when the parade of buses returns. Old fishing sheds were reworked or rebuilt. And finally, there are public washrooms. So much of this was needed. Still, when you're working on a place considered to be a masterpiece,
Also playing with a landmark that isn't just the most well-known thing in Nova Scotia. It's one of Canada's jewels. And so, of course, there was that, aspect of it. And so how can we come up with something that's both organic and inclusive?
for those who came on opening day, they say a beautiful place just got prettier.
In with a natural surrounding, beautiful.
By the way, you can still climb the rocks, but not those black ones. Stay off of those. Colleen Jones, CBC News, Peggy's Cove.
Wow, just beautiful there.
Love that place.
Now, before we get to the weather, we have something interesting to show you. It's covered in sand and seashells, but let's see if you can pick out what it is.
Yeah, look what an amateur diver found with a sharp eye in the Mediterranean Sea.
Actually, it's heavy. It's iron sword and very big one. That means that the guy that hold this sword and fight with it was very strong.
I bet. The sword is believed to be about 900 years old. It was recovered from the waters off northern Israel, so it may have belonged to a crusader knight sailing to the Holy Land.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with anyone carrying that, that's for sure. Experts plan to clean it up and restore the ancient sword so it can be put on display.
That is really cool.
Very cool. Things you can find at the bottom of the ocean.
Amazing. I can't wait to see what it looks like once all the shells are off. See, yeah.
Nice and shiny.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's have a look at the long range forecast. We were talking about how beautiful today was, but not going to be sticking around that nice weather.
Not so shiny in the forecast, that's for sure. Another area of low pressure is going to move in tomorrow, and that's going to stick around for the next couple of days. Let's take a look at that. There it is offshore there, and that means we're going to continue to see that northerly flow, or at least a return of that northerly flow as we head through the day on Thursday. Eventually, though, at least through the first half of the day, and then as the evening hours roll through, that area of low pressure will move further offshore. Going to still be in that northerly flow, but we'll likely start to see some clearing skies for some parts of the island as we get into overnight Thursday and into Friday. This area of high pressure to the south is going to edge a little bit further north, likely keeping things clear for the first half of Friday. And then our next weather maker will move in. That will bring in some showers as we head through the day. On Friday, at least through the afternoon hours, the further east you go, and then up across Labrador as well. Looking at that chance of showers right through Friday evening hours and into the first half of Saturday as well. So temperatures on Thursday going to start to climb up just a bit more, 10, 11 degrees through the as the afternoon highs. For Thursday, a little bit cooler though for the west coast, 6 to 9 degrees. The further north you go to the northern peninsula. Southeastern Labrador looking at those temperatures around 5 to 6 degrees as well, with some showers and then sunshine for Nain, but those temperatures fairly cool. Now as we get into Friday, like I said, the first half anyway looking beautiful. Going to keep that sunshine in, 10 degrees, 13 for Marystown, but those showers will work their way further north. As we get into the evening hours, Corner Brook looking at 11 degrees, 8 for along the Strait and St. Anthony, and again with lots of sunshine in play as well. Up across Labrador, back into the potential for some flurries or showers for Lab West. Your temperature will sit around 2 degrees through the day on Friday. Now, as we get into the weekend, it is looking like things will be gray at this point. We'll likely see a little bit of change in the forecast, but overall looking at temperatures climbing as we get into Sunday, 9 to 13 degrees it looks like, with some rain certainly on Sunday. And then for central Newfoundland, pretty much the same forecast through western Newfoundland as well, with some showers and or rain on Sunday. Temperatures between 10 to 15 degrees through the weekend. For eastern Labrador, after that, the rest of the weekend looking beautiful. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at this point looking at sunshine, 5 to 8 degrees. And then for western Labrador, staying gray both Saturday and Sunday, but your temperatures between 2 to 5. Now we're getting into peak fall color season. This was the scene in Bowering Park today. Debbie shared that photo with us. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
That's a beautiful place to go for a walk right now.
I'm seeing lots of photos. The colors are absolutely gorgeous.
And today was a great day to do it because you had a little bit of sunshine. It was actually kind of nice and warm. Kind of gave you that optimism that maybe winter wasn't going to come.
Right? If only.
I know, you're all laughing at me, but I live in hope.
We all do.
I was just going to say we all do.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night.